Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Amazing Tennis Podcast. Today, we have Makenna Jones. She's an American tennis player with a career high singles ranking of 236 in 2023 and a best doubles ranking of 102, also in July 2023. She played college tennis at the University of North Carolina, where she won the NCAA doubles championships in 2021, which is pretty impressive. McKenna and I met in 2024, last year now, at some of the tournaments that we played together. I know that she's been through a surgery, she's been through a lot, so I'm excited to have you today and to hear your story. And thank you so much for taking your time for being here.
Amazing. Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
I'm excited too, really. So tell me, so we met last year. Um, okay, so you had all these great achievements in, your career high 2023 to 36. I mean, how old are you now?
I'm now almost 27.
27. So, 24, 25, you're having these great rankings, you're at your peak. And then what happens?
Yeah, and then I tore my ACL at almost my last tournament of the year in 2023.
Wow.
Yes.
Like, that was just like out of
Yeah,
no.
I've never in my life had knee problems ever. It was like a total freak accident. I was running for a ball, and long story short, like my ankle was twisting and my foot kind of got stuck, and I landed in a way that your knee is not supposed to land on the ground. And it was like 12 out of 10 pain. It was super brutal. I didn't really know what had happened in that moment. I was honestly really hoping I just dislocated my knee and that it like popped back in and I was fine. But I was in Brazil when I did it, so I had to go to like a Brazilian hospital, and
Oh my
it
God.
was a really interesting experience. And actually, the doctor that came to see me did like physical manual tests on my knee. So like that's all he did, and he was like, "Oh, like you're fine. Just have like a medial knee sprain." I'm like, "Great. Like I'm gonna be back in a couple weeks, no problem." And I went back to the hotel, and the physio that helped me off the court came to check on me, and she's like, "How you doing? Like what was the diagnosis?" And I was like, "Well, he just told me I had a medial knee sprain." And she was like, "You didn't get imaging?" I was like, "No, like he told me that I was fine." She was like, "There's no chance that you're flying from Brazil back to the US without getting imaging, especially because like when you have swelling that can be really dangerous to fly." So I had to go back the next morning to the hospital and then get imaging then. And pretty much immediately, like the guy walked in and was like, "Yeah, you have a full ACL tear."
Oh my
Can
God.
you like, can you say that one more time, please? Because I don't think I understood what you just told me. So in that moment, I'll be honest, like I thought my career was probably over. Because I mean, I'm not just a tennis player. Like I have a lot more to me, and maybe a story for later, but like I have a master's degree. Like I have plenty that I can do outside of tennis. And so I didn't really know how long I wanted to play in general. So I'm like, by the time I'm going to play again, I'm going to be at least 26 and a half. And, when you're a young kid and you have an idea of like where you're going to be at 26, 27, that was not where I thought I was going to be, like recouping my knee and building my tennis career over again. So yeah, my first instinct when I was like sobbing, crying on the hospital bed was like I might just be done. I don't know. Like I don't even know where you go from here. I've never had to like pivot and reset, and especially getting to my career high and literally the next week like done for 10 months. So it was a pretty crazy time and like just really hard to like wrap your mind around. But here we are, a year and a month exactly after surgery. So, and my knee's doing well. So, I mean, that's all I can really ask, at least at this point, that I didn't really have any surgery complications or anything like that. So,
As a professional athlete, single mom to two energetic boys, tennis coach, and a podcast host, my days are packed and my body takes on a lot both mentally and physically. So to keep my body healthy and stay energized, I'm constantly looking and trying out different products to see what works for me. I have been using PICT Performance Plus packets from No Apologies Nutrition, and I couldn't be happier to have found a product that does it all. Since I started using them, I felt more energized, more focused, and I've been experiencing fewer cramps. I'm genuinely so grateful to have found a product that works as well. What makes it stand out is that it's powered by pickle science. It uses lactic and acetic acids to quickly stop cramps and boost recovery. Use code EMMA15 to try it yourself. I
At
mean,
least that
right.
was smooth.
There's a lot of positives, right, that you can
Yes.
look at.
Yes.
Like so many positive, we can like everything in life, right? It's
Yes.
just about the perspective how we look at things. Like
Exactly.
you could feel sorry for yourself. You could, or
Yeah.
you can keep going, keep trying, but like when the surgery happened, you always okay. So you were always like, okay, definitely I'm gonna play after, or you had doubts, like, do I want
Yeah.
to do this?
I I think the only time that I really doubted if I was gonna ever play again was like immediately when they told me that I tore it. Once I got home, I was really lucky, and my dad is like my hero. He had already literally started planning surgery appointments. Like I didn't even know I landed in the US and he was like, "Okay, we have a call with this doctor and this doctor and we're going to get you in there and we're going to get you back." And it was just his way of like helping to support me to get back. So, I would say pretty much within 24 hours, like I had flipped to like, I'm going to do this. Like, I'm going to go through it. I'm going to find my way back and I'm going to be better than ever. And so since then, I haven't really had any doubts as to whether I was going to try to pursue it. So that's helpful in that, like, I didn't really waver. And then
Yeah.
I put 110% into my rehab and like I fully committed to that. So kind of what you were talking about with the mindset, like I chose to embrace the crap out of my
Okay.
rehab. Like I could have been so depressed,
Yeah.
so sad, and
Yeah.
like, why me? Why did this
Yeah.
happen to me? Like I was literally living my childhood dream of
Yeah.
like I had made my very first WTA main draw
Yeah.
that match in that match. And I had match point in the match too.
Ah.
And so, like, I could have gone down such a nasty spiral
Mhm.
easily, but I really chose to like make it the best experience I could. And one of the things that I actually did that really helped me is I started a TikTok. And I did it because when I got hurt, I was so lost. I was so confused. Like, I started going on, I think it was on Spotify, and I was like, ACL podcast. Like, please give me some information. And I like saved a ton of podcasts, but I was really surprised there was hardly anything of like actual person to person. Like, it was more like medical information. And I'm like, no, I want to know like from an athlete that's come back from their ACL injury and how they're doing and what their experience was. Like, that's what I want to hear. And so I was like, I don't know, that might be a lot for me to try to like start a podcast. But I was like, why don't I post videos? So I started posting basically from like day one on, like, especially all my workouts. Like, I made sure to record at least a workout a week to show, like, because each week you progress into like new
Yeah.
exercises. So I was like, perfect. I'm going to show each week what I've progressed to and kind of talk about that. And then I did some other stuff here and there of just like being honest about like one day I like really hurt my knee when I was on court and I had made it such good progress and I had to take like 2 weeks of a setback.
Mhm.
And I like posted about being really bummed and like having to sit there and watch everybody practice while you're just like, okay, what now? You know? But it was really cool. And I got feedback like instantly from people messaging me back like, I got out of bed today and wasn't crying, like, because of the videos that I watched of
Oh,
your
that's
recovery. And, like, you gave me so much hope to be back. And I
yeah.
mean, so many of those. And I'm sure a lot more that didn't actually tell
Yes.
me that
Yes.
they felt that way. But that was really cool because I genuinely felt super lost and I needed to have a little bit of like proof. And I actually did call up, I'm not sure how if you know her or how well you know Louisa Stefani. She's a
I don't
doubles
know her
player.
that
Okay,
well.
she's a Brazilian, super nice girl. I knew her a bit from college, and I called her up because I knew her a little, and I was like, I honestly didn't even know that you tore your ACL, but I just found out from a friend of a friend, and I was like, any information that you're willing to share with me, like I would be so grateful. And she did. She shared so many things about like what to ask the surgeon and what to make sure that you get from the surgeon, and then like a couple of processes
Yeah,
after that. And so that was my first experience with, okay, if I can do this for other people, like that would be amazing. And obviously even like a bigger crowd. So that was something that like not only was clearly good for other people, but it was so healthy for me. Like it
yeah,
gave me something to do.
yeah,
And I had like a passion and something to direct my focus on
yeah,
instead of just being so bored.
yes,
And because it wasn't necessarily like for selfish purposes, it was really for other
yeah,
people. I felt like that just like gave my soul like some love in a time that I feel like was could have been just so horrible.
yeah.
So that was a really cool thing, and I try to kind of keep up with it day to day when I can. I do a little bit more now actually of like kind of what we're talking about now, which is like the real life of professional tennis. And that's been pretty funny too because people are like, "What? This is what it's really I'm like, "Yeah. Yeah,
This is
it's really
it.
something."
So TikTok. So what is your TikTok? Like,
It's
I'm not on TikTok.
at Kenna Jones 14.
Okay. Today's video is sponsored by Lucky in Love. Gone are the days of ladies' golf and tennis apparel that all look the same. Lucky in Love is ushering in a new age. The high end women's apparel brings options fit for the modern, expressive woman. Partake in the ultimate luxury and shop Lucky in Love for your new favorite fashion items for women and use code EB20 to get 20% of your next purchase. I have to go and check it because I don't, you see, that's some, I mean, I'm doing so much. That's like, everybody's like, you need to get on TikTok too. You know, I'm like,
It's
yeah,
so much work.
I have my social media
Yes.
manager, marketing person behind, like nodding her head, like,
Yes.
yes. It's like, okay, I have to post almost every day on Instagram, YouTube Shorts, like that's already too much. I
I
have
know.
a I'm training full time. I'm taking care of my kids. I'm
I know.
working, teaching lessons.
Yep.
I'm recording these videos, but I guess just adding a TikTok video too. I mean, it's
Yeah,
like,
well, I mean, too, like you very much could just post what your art, like all the stuff that
right?
you post on Instagram, literally could just go straight
But
to
why?
TikTok.
Why is TikTok good?
That's a good question. I feel like, at least in my experience, I feel like it's a platform that's like less judgmental. And I feel like, to me at least, it reaches more people. Like
Okay.
on Instagram, I've posted some reels where it'll have like, I don't know, 5,000 views, but I've
Yeah.
never had more than that. Versus like on TikTok, I just posted something and it got like 30,000
Yeah.
views. So I feel like there's more room for growth
Yes.
because of the For You page, at least to me. Versus on
Yeah.
Instagram, like I don't really go on the explore page, even myself. Like I
Yeah.
pretty much just scroll off my followers.
I
So
do. I
you
completely.
do? Some people do.
Yeah.
But I guess on TikTok, I'm on the For You page, but on Instagram, I'm like only looking at people that I actually know.
Okay. Interesting. Um, I agree with that, what you said, that it's less judgmental because I feel like when I'm posting on Instagram,
Yeah,
I'm always like thinking through and
yeah,
like what this or that. But if I'm
mhm,
about to post on TikTok, I literally just post because
yeah.
it kind of doesn't matter in a way,
No, it really
right?
doesn't. No, and I also think that your what do you call it? Like your TikTok page,
Yeah.
like on Instagram, it's supposed to like look nice. For the most
Yes.
part, I don't
Yeah.
think people care that much what your like TikTok page looks
No.
like. So I
No.
do think it's like more effort to make things look good on
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yeah. Okay. After today, after this podcast, I'm putting tonight.
There you go, motivated you.
I have to follow you right away. I will go. So okay. So you do so now you're back on tour. Okay.
Mhm.
Uh did you freeze your ranking or no?
Yeah. So I have it protected at 244.
Okay. And
Yeah.
how many tournaments can you wait, how does
10.
the protected work?
So if
Explain it to people
you
that don't know what.
Yeah, honestly, I had no idea. So, the first and most important thing for anyone that possibly gets injured is you have to like declare your injury before the 6 month period. So, if like you have like a reoccurring injury where you're like, oh, I might go play, but I didn't, and it happens to be within 6 months, if you don't save it before those 6 months, it like erases. So,
Okay.
I've heard of people getting screwed over before because they didn't know that. So they were just kind of like waiting to see if they did have surgery like 6 months later, and then you have no protected. So you have to do it like the earlier the better. I mean, I did it immediately because it wasn't a
I mean,
question.
yeah.
So the rule is if you are out for 6 months, you get 8 tournaments. If you're out for 9 months, you get 10. If you're out for 12, you get 12. So it's just based off of when you go back.
Okay.
So I was out for 9, so I have 10 tournaments to use it.
And how many have you used already?
I haven't used any yet.
Oh, you haven't?
Yeah, I just like I started out and I was probably like 750 when I first started, and then it did get down to about 1,000, and so I was having a little bit of trickiness kind of just getting in, but then I got myself now back up to 750. So I'm like, that'll get me in.
Yeah, well.
So then I'm kind of just trying to use my protected for like WTA events if I can.
Okay.
Yeah.
And okay, I have so many questions.
And you have the calendar year to use that. So like I think I started somewhere around like September 14th. So like on September 14th of 2025, it's over. It's done. Even if you don't use all 10.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, are you planning to use it anytime for a bigger event?
Yeah, there's a 125 in Cancun in like a month.
Okay.
And I'm going to start there. And then there's some 125s in like Turkey apparently that popped up.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Turkey. Look at Turkey go.
3 in a row. In the same place. I've never heard of that.
Antalya?
Yeah.
125s?
Yeah, 125s. I know, because they have a 35 that's one of the same weeks. So I'm like, I don't know if they found a new tennis center.
I was gonna go beginning of February. There's 2 back-to-back 35s.
Yes, I saw those. They're in March, middle of March, like right after BMP, right after Indian Wells.
That's crazy.
Yeah, kind of
That's
interesting.
crazy.
But I'm like, I mean, I'm assuming not a lot of people will go to those.
I don't. That might be a good opportunity for me just to
Right?
go, like because you never know.
I mean, because Miami Open is obviously going on at that time, and then I can't remember what's after that. But I mean, it's a busy time for
Yes.
rest. And there's also the same weeks. There's a 125 in Puerto Vallarta and a 125 in La Bisbal. So like, there's room, which never happens on the women's side.
It really doesn't.
Literally, there's like one tournament for all of us to play.
Interesting. I know.
Yeah.
Like now at the beginning of the year here in Florida, these are like I don't know. Like there's that 75 that's coming up. I don't even know if I'm gonna get in.
Oh, I'm sure it's going to be super stiff. Yeah. There's nothing else to play.
There's nothing else to play. So, yeah. So that's interesting. Okay, good to know. Good to know. Okay, so you started playing again.
Yep.
And mentally, how has it been since you started? Like, what has been the biggest challenge? Like, has it been just kind of like you're scared of hurting it again, or like you don't know if you can do it again, if you can get your level of tennis, or both combination? What have you been going through, if you don't mind sharing?
I think maybe the biggest challenge is, and I talked to one of my old coaches about this, is kind of like the identity crisis that you have when you come back of like, because you start playing at the lower level again, you kind of like set yourself to like, oh, so this is the level of player that I am. Even if you are or aren't, regardless, it's what you see in your mind of the value of yourself. And so when you play qualities of a whatever they are, 35 again, and like you're grinding out there with no chair umpire, and you're like, oh my God, I'm doing this again. And you know, you just you get it. Like, you work so hard to get yourself, like, nobody wants to be at the lower ITF levels. Nobody does. And so you work so hard to get yourself out of that. And then you got to do it all over again. And it feels like, obviously, like, it wasn't my choice. Like, I didn't choose to be at that level again. And so it's kind of like reminding yourself that you are capable of that next level and not to sink down to the level that you're at now.
Yeah.
And I think it's really easy to do because the environment, as bad as this sounds, it makes you feel lousy.
Yes.
Like, nobody treats you great at these tournaments. Like, you don't feel like a professional.
Yes.
You feel like a silly little child, like going out to play a junior match.
Yes.
And so I think that's a lot of the difference too, is just how you literally feel about yourself as a player, but also a human.
Yes.
So I think that part is just really hard, of like convincing yourself like that you are worthy and you did have that level, but like it might not come back. And I think that's also part of that, is like, are you confident in yourself enough to believe that you can do it again? And I mean, I had only been playing for a year and a half at the time, because I didn't start playing until I was 24, because I went to grad school. So I started much later than most people. So
in a year and a half, you got to the ranking.
Yeah.
You got?
Yeah.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
very
So
good.
thank you. Yeah, I mean, it was really exciting. Like,
And you were
played,
yeah.
I played too much tennis. Played way too many tournaments that year, but that's what I felt like I needed to do.
That's what you have to do. That's
Yeah.
what you have to do. I mean, there's no
sure.
other way around it.
For sure.
But at the
Yeah.
time, like, let's talk about that a little bit. Let's go back now to that.
Yep.
I didn't know that you got there so fast. Like, I got, after college, in a year only, I got to like 460 in singles, 145 in doubles, which in a year still, it's very good. I thought it was really good, right? But like, you got to like 230, you're like right there at the Grand Slam, door, knocking on it. Like, so besides playing a lot of tournaments and being consistent, what else do you think like got you there? Like, did you have a coach? Did you travel with a coach, or you were alone? Like, how were you managing everything?
Mostly alone. I mean, my parents both played professionally, if you didn't know that.
I
So
was going to ask you, because somebody mentioned something, but I don't know. Can you
yes.
tell
So
everyone?
my mom went to Stanford. She won 2 team national championships while she was there, was ranked #1 in the country. She's a freaking baller. And
Okay.
she got up to about like 45 in the world in singles. And my
Okay.
dad went to Pepperdine, won 2 doubles NCAA titles while he was there. Guess it runs in the family. And then he was actually, I heard, for maybe only like 2 weeks, but he was ranked #1 in the world in doubles at one point.
What? Okay, so you really like come from a
Easy genes.
Oh, okay. That
Yes.
explains a lot of things. Okay. But okay, oh my God. So now we can talk about it.
Back coaching, I pretty much traveled by myself.
Okay.
I did hire a coach probably 2 months before I got injured, because I was kind of at that point where A, I could afford it,
Yeah.
and B, I was traveling more, like going to South America, so I kind of wanted somebody to be with me.
Yeah.
So I did hire a coach then, but no longer. I mean, I'm kind of doing it by myself again. Classic.
But okay, so okay, I want to rewind more back.
Back to my parents. Yes. I know.
I didn't know this.
It gets a little crazier if you want to know.
Oh God. Here we go.
My aunt, my mom's a twin. She also played at Stanford. She won all 4 years, the team title. My uncle is Craig Boynton, who was Hubert Hurkacz's coach for the last 5 years. My uncle was a coach at Stanford for years.
Do you have
No
siblings?
one else really played a lot. My dad's sister played professionally as well.
Okay. But you have siblings or no?
No, just me. I'm the only of my generation who chose to play tennis. So that part was kind of crazy, because from all this tennis, I'm the only one that played.
Wow. And when
Yeah.
did you start playing?
I mean,
Like when you were
I
a
have no
very
idea,
small
but
kid.
I will say I was not going to choose tennis. I hated it. I hated it. I
Okay.
was going to choose soccer. I was set on it. I played softball too, but my parents, I think, would have paid me money to not choose softball. No
I
offense to
don't
the
blame
softball
them.
players, but it wasn't for them. Um, but yeah, so I chose tennis actually when I was 14. I played soccer up until then. Yeah, I had a very like different. I played two ITF tournaments ever in juniors.
Wow.
Very like different path from most
Most,
tennis
yeah.
players.
And that
Yeah.
also just shows that
Yeah,
there's
you
more
can
like,
do it anyway.
You can do it anyway, because I
Yeah.
coach as well, and I have so many parents
Yeah.
ask me, oh, let's start this, let's do
Yeah.
this. I'm like, there's really like the
Yeah.
more you push,
Yeah.
the worse it is. I have my own kids now,
Yeah.
so and I see what you're saying. So my ex-husband, so their dad is a
Mhm.
tennis player. We both played for Baylor. Great
Oh,
to
okay, yeah.
so like he's 6'4", lefty, great
Yep.
player, like so like my both kids, they're 5 and 3, they're exposed to tennis. I mean, I've been
Yeah.
coaching when I was 39
Right.
weeks pregnant, like
Right.
they see everything all the time, but like
Yeah.
I don't see that they're loving it. I
Yeah.
feel like it's just tennis, tennis, tennis. They don't
Yeah.
like they want to play other sports, like you said, soccer, ice hockey,
Yeah.
like million other things.
Yeah.
Tennis, it's not like interesting to them, but it's
Yeah.
like at what point you decide now as a parent,
Mhm.
like I mean, they're probably going to be talented and good in tennis because they are compared to the other kids already that I see,
Yeah.
But I'm like,
Yeah.
I think we're just going to let them and then maybe when they're 14.
Yeah, I know. I've had this conversation with so many people, honestly.
I'm
I have
sure.
no idea if I'm gonna have my kids play tennis. No
Yeah.
idea. Like more likely, honestly, no. I
Yeah.
mean, I'll give them the choice if they want to play, like good for you, but
Yeah.
I'm not gonna push them into it. I think it's an amazing sport that gives you some very special opportunities, definitely. Like there are some things that I got to do even in college that I'm like other sports their experience was much worse.
Yeah.
And you get to travel the world, meet
Sure.
cool people, but what tennis can do to you as like a living human being is horrible. And I mean,
Horrible.
depends how you take it, obviously, but I mean,
Horrible.
it's brutal. Like,
Bad. It's bad.
it's really
Yeah.
brutal.
I agree. And I'm
Yeah.
glad you said that
Yeah.
because, and when I see a post about like, oh, if you play tennis, like you live longer or like something like that,
The longevity sport.
Yes.
I'm like, listen, I was out for 8 years. I was
Yeah.
doing my Pilates, I was doing
Yeah.
running, and I was looking really fit. I was
Yeah. Yeah.
feeling good. I even had 2 kids.
Yeah.
And like now that I'm fully playing again, my
Mhm.
body is broken again. Right? And it's like,
Mhm.
how is tennis good
Yeah.
for you? Like
I know.
it's and mentally,
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it has taught me so much and you can vouch for that
Mhm.
as well. And
Yes.
we're just really strong
Yep.
individuals, but we're also really messed up.
In the head
Yeah.
of tennis.
Yeah.
You really are. And
Whoever doesn't agree with that, they're lying. Every tennis player
They're
knows
lying.
exactly what we're talking about.
Totally. And that's kind of why too I'm so glad that I had a different path than
yeah,
most. Because I mean, the path that these kids, they're not kids anymore. They're
no.
literally little adults. I
Yeah.
mean, they're living this life that like has one direction only.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't go that way, like what do you do?
Yes.
And that's
Yes.
why I
Yes.
mentioned with my injury, like I don't think I went into a depression because I have more to
Yes.
me than just being a tennis player. But like there are a lot of players that literally
Oh,
there's no other option.
yeah.
Like
I
that's
mean,
scary. That would be really scary.
It's really scary, and that also like shows the importance of like going to college and
Yeah.
doing something else, because when you're just done with tennis, or you get
Yeah.
an injury like that you
Right.
did not expect at any level that you are. That's why so many, and I've spoken to some even on the podcast, they've
Yeah.
been through injuries that really, really struggled
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
but for you, it's like, but you know that you have so much more to you than just tennis, which is
Yes.
that's rare. That's really
Yeah.
rare for a tennis player.
Yeah. I think despite my parents both being as good as they were,
Yeah.
honestly, they did a really good job of like letting me be who I wanted to be. I mean, throughout college, like I was like, I want to play. I really don't want to play. I want to
Yeah.
play. I really don't want to play.
Yeah.
And so, like, they had no clue if I was going to actually try and play after college.
Okay.
And they were okay with it. Like, they were going to be bummed because honestly, they're just so used to watching
Yeah.
me play and like having something to do.
Yeah.
But like, if it's my choice. And I almost quit multiple times when I first started playing. I mean, all you heard was that I got to 236 or whatever in a year and a half. Oh, I had like a panic attack in my second week of playing pro tennis
Really?
ever.
Well,
Yeah,
why
I
what were you
hated it.
struggling with?
It was just so much pressure. Like I was already 24. At 24, most people are like 4 years in, like super experienced. And I was like 24, feeling like I was 16, like no idea what I was doing. And I was losing to like 18-year-olds because I mean, I was still rusty and I had basically taken a year off of competitive tennis because of finishing grad school.
Yes. Yes.
So, I mean, I still had so much work to do on
Yeah.
my game and
Yeah.
myself as a tennis player. And I mean, I just was like, this is horrible. Why am I doing this? Like, I just got my degree. I had a desk job basically for a year in our athletic department. Like, I could just go do that so easily right now and like not feel this bad about myself. And I mean, it was brutal. I had probably like two, at least actually three. I had three mental breakdowns on my way to that ranking.
Okay.
And I like genuinely wasn't sure what I wanted to do, but I was like, I know I'm better than this. So
Yeah.
let me at least try to be better. And then if I still hate it, even
Yeah.
if I'm like actually technically enjoying it
Yeah.
more, then I'll know I'm done. But I
Yeah.
mean, my mindset was so much on like, I'm either good or I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, you're not going to win all the time. You can't be good every day. And I was just so used to college. Like, I won most of my matches. I
Yeah.
was lucky enough to be
Yeah.
on the best team in the country.
Yes.
So, like,
Yeah.
losing and losing, and then like
Yes.
losing and waiting a week, and
Yes.
losing and making $0. And
Yes.
I'm like, my God, this is horrible.
Yes. Yes.
So it was a struggle. But then I finally like, I mean, my piece to success, of which I would recommend to literally anyone and everyone, I read The Inner Game of Tennis.
Okay.
And as like simple as it sounds to most people, it literally changed my life because
Yeah.
I like truly did not understand that you could like play without trying so hard. Like I was
Okay.
always trying so hard. Like if I just like give it a little bit more
Yes.
or like focus a little bit more. And so like I was so rigid.
Yeah.
And the first match that I went out and like they call it self two, like I just played in self two. I was like, oh
Yeah.
my God, this is so fun. And I
Okay.
like came off the court and I had so much energy. I was like, I could go do that again.
Okay.
And like in previous, I'd come off like even just to practice and I'd be like, oh my God, I am so tired. Like I need to go take a nap. And it was because of the stress that I was like putting
Believe in yourself.
on myself.
Yeah.
And so, it talks obviously too about like self talk and like the fact that you don't have to actually judge yourself for mistakes. Like a
Yeah.
mistake is a mistake and you can learn and not judge. And it's just stuff that I've always been like a bit of a hard headed perfectionist. And I just kind of learned that I actually didn't have to do that. And I'd probably be better off because of it. So that was honestly like kind of my game changer at one point. And I won my first 25K probably like a month after that. So that was pretty pivotal.
But then, okay, explain that to me. Like, explain, like,
Yeah, the concept.
yes.
I'm just.
So have you read the book or no?
I think I started. It's like
It
one of those
seems
that
like
I
it's
started,
like,
but I didn't finish it. Yeah.
yeah. So basically you have your self one and your self two. Your self one is like you're hyper aware. It's like you're thinking. It's your thinking self. Like
Okay.
everything you're trying to think and like coach yourself into
Yeah.
and over processing. Your
Okay.
self two is just your do. Like
Okay.
it's It's no thought. It's natural ability. It's like your state of flow, basically.
Yeah.
And so, like, obviously you need to think a little bit, but like if you're playing only in self one, you're basically like muscling everything. You're like, okay, this return, I need to do this, and then I need to do that. And then on my serve, like, you know, when you hit a shot and you're thinking about literally every single part and it's actually so bad. Instead, some of your best shots are the ones where you're like, I didn't even know my body could do that. But it did because you let it do that. So I basically had to like take a step outside of myself and like just let myself play. And all of a sudden I was like, oh my gosh. I would laugh a couple times because I'm like, that was so good. I didn't even know I could do that. But before, like, I would never allow that because I was just forcing myself so much into trying to play well when like I was actually doing the opposite. So it was more just about freedom and then also like enjoying it. I mean, it was so hard for me to feel like I was having a good time when I was in like Santo Domingo and 95 degrees and the umpire doesn't even speak English, but I speak a little Spanish, which helped. But I mean, it's just, you're like, what am I doing with my life, honestly? And there's like a dog that like runs across the court in the middle of one of the points, you know? And I'm like, this is what I had to look forward. This is what I worked so hard for. Oh, this is
like you said, you don't get appreciated at all. You don't feel like a professional athlete. You feel like literally a piece of you know garbage. Really, it's so true. And like we really need to be respected more for how much we do and how good we are too, like because it's just it's crazy. But then like you have to work your way up to the top, so then you're at the Grand Slam and then you're treated like that. Why does it have to be like that?
I know.
Why does it have to be like that? I don't understand. You all know how much time I spend on court, and having the right equipment makes a huge difference. That's why I've been using Gamma Sports for over 10 years. Their grips, strings, and on-court accessories like ball hoppers and nets are some of the best out there. Whether you're training or competing, Gamma has the gear to keep you ready to play. Check them out at gammasports.com and use code EMA25 for 25% off your order.
Yeah, it's super sad. And I totally agree with you. And I am amazed how little people know. And that's why kind of on my TikTok, I like try to like post about things. You probably didn't see my video then. I took a video because I showed up at Emilio Sanchez and there was no one at the desk. Not a single person. Like literally it was
just
ghost town there. And I didn't bring balls, of which I know better than that. I should have brought a can of balls, but I was traveling. I didn't really have room in my bag.
Travel with balls. You expected to be at the tournament.
I do these days because I've had that experience. Yes. So I did not.
I saw your story though. I saw your story.
I had a single ball. I went on a walk around the tennis center to try to find a ball like in the trees or in the bushes. And I did find 2 balls. I found 1 Wilson ball and 1 Penn ball. And so I like posted about the fact that I found 2 balls and they're not even the same brand. And thankfully, actually, there was a wild card tournament going on for like to get in the main draw. And we used their used match balls. It's like, thank you. Oh, so nice. But like, that's what we had to choose from.
And you are at one of the best like academies too. That's a good academy, you know, very well known. Right?
Yeah. And then it's the whole, like, even for practice balls, you have to put a deposit in because they take the balls back. And I think on Monday, if you weren't in qualies, you couldn't get a can of balls at all. Like main draw, couldn't get a can of balls. Thankfully, I had bought 1 can. I found the last can at Dick's Sporting Goods. And I thought it was like my lucky day because there was only 1 left. And so I had a can. I was ready. I was prepared.
That's crazy. I love that. I love that you're doing that. Let's do one reel. Let's do one reel together in Palm Coast. Let's collaborate on it.
Yes. I wore this Lululemon long sleeve shirt yesterday, which I kind of should have known better because I played a girl who played in this tank top and it has like this design on it, but like so faint. You like literally can't even see that. You have to be looking to see this. So I'm wearing the long sleeve because it's cold. And I had a jacket on though. I took it off after the coin flip, and the lady was like, um, David, like, unfortunately, Makenna Jones is wearing the illegal Lululemon top. Like, what do you want me to do about it? And I was like, I wish I had this top to show. I mean, it's literally like, seriously, you have to have binoculars for someone on the sideline to be like, oh yeah, that's a Lululemon logo on the front. Also, like, I had it tucked in my shorts, so I was hoping that, like, since you could only see the top, that it was like not gonna cover. But I'm like, I meant to make a video about it, and I think I'm still gonna do it and be like, I just want you guys to know that, like, this is an illegal shirt. Like, cannot wear this shirt in a match. I'm like, this is what somebody gets in trouble for. I'm like, and some girls have like their freaking
Yeah.
ass hanging out in
Yeah.
matches, but I can't wear this shirt.
Yes.
Okay.
I got a fine. My first tournament. I
No.
went to Colombia. I haven't played in so long. I forgot what it is. And I'm
Yeah.
wearing the Lucky in Love, but it's a visor.
Yeah.
In the back, there was like,
Oh yes, one of the tags.
yes.
I've had that before.
They literally like fined me. I mean, $50. Okay, but like I made like $75 that week. And it's like 50. I'm like, you could have given like told me something. It's like, yeah, the referee told the chair umpire told you like,
Yeah.
Wait, they didn't give you like a heads up?
They did like in the match,
Oh.
but I took it off. But still,
Oh. And they still find you?
yes.
Oh my! And you
No.
took it off.
no. And then I'm like, do I argue? Do I like, oh, it's like $50? But I'm like, $50, it's a lot, kind of, you know? So it's like, no, it's crazy how they make big deals out of these things. They're like so, on top of it.
Yeah.
But then like when it comes to like treating us, and
Yeah.
then it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
no, you know.
I know.
But
It's
but honestly, like why I'm doing also these podcasts,
yeah.
it will, nothing happens overnight. Nothing in life.
Yeah.
Okay, like I have a few years on you, but like, it's true. Like even with my podcast, like I'm
Yeah.
putting in the work, and I know like eventually ITF will hear it, WT will hear some stuff. You never know. There might somebody will hear something, because there's a lot of players I'm talking to. They're talking about the same things.
It's such a mess. Yeah. Just this week, we had the weirdest circumstance on yesterday, on Tuesday. I like showed up to the courts at, I don't know, 11. I'm like, nobody's on court. Like, what's going on? And honestly, I could do a better job. I don't check the stuff before I go. Like, I just guess I assume that's
Yeah.
bad for me. I should not, considering we know that this is a mess. But
Yeah.
showed up, I'm like, oh, it must have been wet. I don't know. And somebody was like, yeah, matches don't start till 12. Like, I didn't get any explanation. I found out later that the physio was ill. She was like throwing up all night, and you can't play without a physio. So the physio couldn't come until like 12 because she was, trying to be better, because they couldn't find a replacement. So matches didn't start till 2 hours later, which is fine. But like, why do we have no update of this? Like, I was talking to somebody, like, how is there not like an automated email system?
Yeah.
Our emails are all in IPIN. Like, how can you not like send?
That's such a good point, because, okay, shout out to UTR.
Okay.
That's what I've heard. I've heard UTR is doing a great job.
Job.
Yes,
An amazing job.
that's what I heard.
They're putting a lot of money now. They're treating us nice. They're paying us well. Everything is so organized. Everything is live streamed nicely.
Right.
You don't have to, do a million things. There updates when it's rain.
I heard the money is good too, even better than before.
It's really good. And no surprise that they're pushing and having more of these tournaments. Like I'm like thinking, okay, do I play now at the 35, or should I play another PTT here? I just made $3,500 in a week. Like,
It's a lot.
make that in ITF, like, and the thing is, like, I don't know, they're way more organized. I mean, ITF should pick up a little bit and learn a little bit from UTR. Like, honestly, it's just like, I don't know if it's the money thing. It probably is. They have more money, I'm guessing.
I don't think they're doing well on that. But I mean, it's silly. Like they have all of these things established at the higher
Yes,
level. Like it's not hard for you to just replicate what they're already doing.
true,
But
true.
I mean, in Bakersfield, I
Yes,
checked the schedule at, I don't know if this happened to you. I checked the schedule at like, I don't know, 6:37, whatever. I was second on. And literally my doubles partner texted me like 2 hours later and was like, just FYI, they switched us. All of a sudden I was first on and the schedule changed at like
right.
8:30. Why would I check the schedule again?
Again, yeah.
It was revised later with no notification.
No notification. How
I'm
are you?
like, what if I just didn't show up? Like, that would have been interesting. So I'm like, and that would have been my fault, which is so
Yeah,
crazy. That
yeah.
like, how was I supposed to know? Now I'm like, I keep telling myself like I need to set a reminder before bed to like check one more time. But it's like it's such a shit show as is already. Like it's like, oh, I don't even know where to find the schedule. Do I go to USTA? Do I go to
Yes,
ITF? Do I go in the
yes,
app? Like
yes,
it's
yes.
all malfunctioning. Oh my god.
But okay, so I was just
Yeah.
trying to find the Naples one because
Yeah.
to see when you're playing and to see if you played and stuff. But then, like, I was
Yeah.
going on the ITF Live Score app, it wasn't
Yeah,
working.
the app changed.
My,
I
I
think for the worst too.
so I
Like
couldn't
Facebook did
find
it, and I'm
anything.
more confused.
I was like, you know what? I give up. I'm like, I'm just gonna ask her how she did. I don't even feel like.
I
Going on,
know.
you know,
Uh,
it's
it's just, yeah, it's really
hopefully,
something.
yeah, or hopefully it's gonna change, or we're gonna get to the bigger tournaments.
Yeah, I know.
Oh
Honestly,
my God.
I'm like, I'm so curious to see, like, when I walk into the to 125 and I'm gonna be like,
No.
massage me, pamper me. My goal always when I go, how much free shit can I get from this
Yes.
1 week? Literally. The first 250 I went to, I was taking everything they had there. Oh, you have a free dinner? Sign me up. Free concerts? Sign me up. Like, I don't need to sleep. I just need free stuff, honestly.
That's so funny because I see you're on the same page as me. We were doing
Yeah.
that. We're doing that at a 35 or a 50 in California to make money with the
Uh-huh.
kids and like
Yeah.
we'll do. But at those you get free stuff. Here you have to work for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I hope that you get there soon. I mean, both of us.
Thanks.
Yeah, we're trying.
Do you have goals that you set for yourself? Like, are you like goal oriented, or you're kind of like taking it one day at a time, 1 week at a
Yeah.
time, and see what life brings you?
Yeah, I set goals when I first started playing. And it was fun to like look back at those. I'm having a little bit of a struggle right now whether or not I want to do that. I thought with the new year I would like write them all down, have them all there. But I think it can be super tricky. And I listened to a podcast by Emmanuel Acho, I think is how you pronounce his last name. It was a really good podcast, and he was talking about how he doesn't even like goals. He thinks that they like it's kind of like it's a goal with no plan, and like you need to set the plan, the objective. Like those are the things that you want to be doing.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I think it's really tricky sometimes to set goals because I think that depending on how your brain works, like if anything else is a failure, then I mean, you're literally setting yourself up for failure unless you get exactly that. And so then you don't even see like the good graces of everything else that you did.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure yet. I feel like you need to write them down if you're going to
Yeah.
do that. Otherwise, it's just kind of like up in the air.
Yeah.
So maybe tomorrow I'll have a little like reset day and kind of jot some out. I think that would actually be a good off day plan for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's hard. I mean, it's tough after my injury. I mean, I didn't really talk about this, but part of the reason that I believe that I got injured was because I wanted to get into Aussie Open so bad that I was, panicking a little bit. I was in my last stretch of trying to get in. And so after that, like I told myself that I would never force anything to happen.
Yeah.
Again, like I would just do my best, enjoy it, and like let it happen
Yes.
as it's meant to be. And
Yes.
so, yeah, I'm trying my best to just feel lucky to be
Yeah.
out there, but
Yes.
that is not much easier said than done.
It is, but like it really is kind of like, yeah, because when you get in this like slump of like week in week out at these tournaments
Yep.
and
Yep.
losing, and then like dealing with the loss, dealing with all the conditions and everything, it's just like
Yep.
so hard to be like, I'm enjoying the journey, I got this,
Yeah.
like this is great, I'm grateful, blah blah blah, like,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, like, you have to be like, you have to bring yourself to like the present moment and really like be grateful for it, because just that you're doing what you love. If you love it, if you don't love it, then I mean, don't do it. Why are you doing it
Right.
then? Like, if you're not
Right.
doing it for yourself,
Right.
don't do it for anybody else. If you're
Right.
thinking about, you know getting your parents I mean, for
Yep.
sure you have different pressures. For you, it's different, and you have different expectations. You come
Yep.
from this like tennis family. Okay, well, she's the next one, let's see when she's gonna do it. I'm sure you have all of these things in your head, but like, the if you love really the game,
Yep.
you have to love it. Otherwise, like, you're gonna be miserable. Like, I
Yes.
know when I was younger, like now playing again, when I was
Yeah.
younger, I wasn't. I don't even know. I was doing it for. I've come from a really small town. I was a little
Yeah.
star there.
Yep.
Okay, well, you base your self worth on your wins and
Yes.
losses, right? That's another thing
Yes.
that we tennis players deal with.
Yep. Yep.
But I'm actually doing it for myself, and I'm figuring
Yeah.
it out.
That's awesome.
And if I make it, great. It's my
Yeah.
dream. But like,
Yeah.
like, if I don't, I still wanna like my goal with this. And it's like to wake up the next day, or like, no matter if I won or lost today, that I feel the same. Like,
Yeah.
meaning that I'm happy with my life. I have my routines. I have the
Yeah.
things that I'm doing.
Yeah.
Nothing changes much,
Right.
right? Because
Right.
before it would affect me so much. The wins would affect me a lot, and then the losses would. Now, like, I
Yeah.
just want this, it's great, and I'm big on social media, right? So I'm
Yeah.
like getting like mess. It's like, oh, finally, look, her comeback is finally starting.
Yeah.
But for me, honestly, I was with my kids that day. I was so happy. Yeah, obviously, I'm really happy that I won. But I had to keep going with my life
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
everything, and I have to
Yep.
show up the next day to practice. You have to show up, keep working hard on yourself on and off the court, because
Yep.
it's who you are becoming as a person throughout this journey.
Yeah.
And then,
Totally.
because then your life goes after tennis, then you have to
Yes.
be a parent, a spouse,
Yes.
you have to work, like, life
Yes.
goes on. It's not going to be
Yes.
tennis forever, but to learn from it now, right?
Yep. Yep. Yeah, I'll say two things off that. The first one is I totally get the pressure with social media. I have struggled with that a little bit because I've been kind of like posting and stuff, and I'm like, oh, cool, like people are following, but then it's like, ooh, do I really want people to follow? Like, I
Yeah.
mean, for a while, like
Yeah.
I was pretty high off of social media for most of like the beginning of my career, and I mean, honestly, I think in coming back, like, as you know, like you get more opportunities through building your social brand, and
Oh
it's
yes.
just kind of the way it is. But it's really hard sometimes. And I'm like, thanks for the comment, but like, I don't really need that in my
Yeah.
life. The second thing I will say, and I'm not just saying this to be nice, but I'm super impressed with what you're doing. And I just wanted to say that
Oh, thank
because
you.
it takes a lot. And I get it because I'm like doing a very minute amount of what you're doing. But to be doing that, to be a mother, to be coming back, and what you're saying, like doing it for yourself, I just think that's really awesome. And I love that you're sharing more of the real side of tennis because I agree with you. There's a lot of walls that are built up in tennis. I think we're all built to be like stone cold because that feels like that's what we need to do because we like compete individually against each other. So it
Yeah.
feels so personal. And I feel like those walls are breaking down a bit
Yes.
these days. And honestly, I kind of attribute that to college. I
Yeah.
think that a lot of the college players are so used to having relationships
Yeah.
that we almost don't know how to not do that when we go and play professionally. And I find it really nice. Like, I see girls nowadays that, like, hanging out and like really talking to each other. And I look forward to meeting new people every week and like seeing my tennis friends. Like it stinks when you have to play them,
Oh
but
no.
like it's so nice to have those relationships.
Yeah.
So I'm just grateful to people like you who are making this sport not just about like the competitive side, the nasty side, the me versus you. Like
Yes.
you're really showing the human side of tennis.
Yeah.
And I just really like applaud you for what you're doing. I think it's
Oh,
really cool. You're like inspiring me to like try to do more of that too.
No, that means so much. And you didn't have to say that, just say that for the podcast. But
I wanted
I
to.
know you mean it though. Like, and I
I
know,
do.
like, we haven't spent that much time together, but like,
Yeah.
I, and that's why I invited you on my podcast. Like, I don't just invite people
Yeah.
just because, because
Yeah.
for me, it's like I need to feel the energy and that
For
I
sure.
feel like, and I see that I feel like, and I've been through that, like up and down in this, like since my journey and posting on social media. I'm like,
Yep.
because you put also pressure on yourself, right? And it's like,
Yeah.
crap, if I lose, and like nobody like cares and nobody wants to watch this,
why would they
Yeah,
want
they're not gonna follow me.
you know? But that's what I want to make this more about,
Yeah.
that it's not just about making the results. It is about the
Right.
journey,
Right.
and like we're in this together. Why
Right.
can we do this together? Yeah, when we get on the court, I'm gonna wanna beat you and you will want the same, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
another story, but let's make this more fun for each other,
Yeah.
right? Let's
Yeah.
help each other,
Right.
not to be so
Right.
miserable. It's freaking, it's tough. And only
Yeah.
us players that are going through it, we know you don't understand until you go through
Yes.
it. And
Yes.
there's, I think it's like you said, it's getting better and better. It's
Yeah.
getting better and better, and I see it with
Yeah.
players and the ones that I have on my podcast too. It's nice to see.
Yeah.
And I think we just need to be, you know support for each other, because so
Yeah.
we have less mental breakdowns, that we,
Yeah.
and I hope you don't have any of them in this year. I really
Thank
like,
you.
yeah, I hope that you build your ranking up, but I don't want you to be miserable doing it.
Yeah.
Like I was on depression medication for like 9 years,
Oh wow.
like I've been off of it for now like a little over a year, and that's like the proudest thing that I
That's
can, and I'm
awesome.
talking
Yeah.
now more about it.
Yeah.
It's like I'll take that over any win any day.
Sure. For sure.
Like because
Yeah.
only you know the battles that you have
Yeah.
within yourself.
Totally.
Only you do, and it's like when you free yourself from that, it's,
Yeah.
oh my God, it's more rewarding than anything else. So I
Yeah.
wish that like are happy as much as you
Yeah.
can in this, and that you have people around you that love you, and win or lose, like you said, that you're enjoying this, because at the end of the day, that's what matters the most.
For sure.
So we'll close out with that. I'm very grateful that you were on the podcast. We'll do another one. We'll do
Fun.
another one for sure, because we didn't get to talk a lot. And but let's
Yeah,
do
that's
some fun
okay.
stuff, maybe at the tournament if the time allows. Maybe.
Yeah, for sure. That would be fun.
Yeah. So what's your Instagram hand? Oh, we'll post it.
It's the same.
Is this
Both TikTok and Instagram are at Kenna Jones 14.
Okay.
okay?
And
And
I'm
I'm
posting
posting
tonight
tonight
on
on
TikTok.
TikTok.
So
There you go.
Stay tuned.
okay. Well, I'll see you. I'll see you soon. Thank
Yep.
you again.
Next week. Yeah, thanks. Great talking to you.
You too.